My name's Christian, and today I'm looking at Luke 8, starting at verse 41. And there came a man named Jairus, who was a ruler of the synagogue. And falling at Jesus' feet, he implored him to come to his house, for he had only a daughter, and about 12 years of age, and she was dying. As Jesus went, the people pressed around him, and there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and though she had spent all her living on physicians, she could not be healed by anyone. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately her discharge of blood ceased. And Jesus said, "Who was it that touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowd surround you and are pressing in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I perceive that power has gone out from me." And when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him, declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone from the ruler's house came and said, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher anymore." But Jesus, on hearing this, answered him, "Do not fear, only believe, and she will be well." And when he came to the house, he allowed no one to enter with him except Peter and John and James and the father and mother of the child. This is actually one of my favorite stories in the Bible because I look at Jairus as like an absolute kind of hero of the faith. Because you start off on what's got to be the absolute worst day of your life. Your daughter is dying. So, to his credit, he goes to Jesus. He actually goes to the person who can do something about it. But he walks up to Jesus and he says, "My daughter is dying." And so he and Jesus begin to head to the house. And then they get thronged by all these people. And Jesus stops and says, "Who touched me?" Now, Peter, of course, is the one that chimes in. And we always give Peter flack for being the one that jumps to it. But to be honest, he says what we're all thinking. You're surrounded by people. Everybody touched you, Jesus. We're like, what question are you asking right now? And it makes me think about what Jairus has to be feeling in that moment. Because you just went up to Jesus and you were like, "My daughter's dying," and Jesus stopped to talk. How many of us kind of feel that way in situations sometimes where, you know, whatever your dream is, or you have a prayer request, or perhaps you're even in this position where Jairus is, and you've gone to Jesus with like the worst possible, "I need you to answer right now" situation, and you're on your way to whatever the answer is. You feel like there's some progress, you feel like there's some momentum, and then all of a sudden it just stops. And you're just like, "Jesus, I don't know what happened. Did you stop to chat? Like, what just happened? What just happened?" And then they turn up the heat even more on Jairus, because after this, he stops going to the healing for his daughter and then has to stand there and watch somebody else get healed. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a believer, this is kind of one of those things that we like to say, and it sounds great, but it's not really that easy to be able to rejoice with others who are rejoicing when you're not rejoicing. It's that moment of being able to go, "Yeah, I've been praying for this and praying for this and praying for this," and then still be able to be happy when it happens for somebody else. You know, when you work in corporate America, perhaps, and you have been up for this promotion forever, and you're like, "This is my time, this is it," and then they actually hire the person that you trained. Or, you know, maybe you're a performer or an actor or a dancer, and you've been just like hustling and grinding and going to this agent and this audition and just going and going and going and going. And then you meet that person that's like, "I just booked Steven Spielberg's new movie. It's my first audition ever." And you're like, "Huh, awesome." Or maybe you have a desire to get married. And so you're praying and you're trusting God for his timing. But like every text message, phone call, Facebook, tweet, Instagram is, "We're engaged, I'm married, she's pregnant, it's twins." Like, it's just constant reminders of the fact that you didn't get what you wanted. And this is where Jairus is standing at this moment. But to his credit, he doesn't go off. He doesn't get upset. He's not like, "Jesus, let's go, I need you right now." It's that ability to be able to rejoice with those who are rejoicing when you're not rejoicing. And then Jairus gets it stepped up even farther, because he's standing there watching somebody else get healed on the worst day of his life. And then somebody comes up and goes, "You know what? Don't even worry about it anymore. She's already dead." Like, can you imagine how his stomach must have just dropped out from inside of him? I can't imagine what that must have felt like. But Jesus turns to him and says, "Do not be afraid, only believe, and she will be made well." And I think this is that thing that we all as believers have to take above every other 7-step process to believing in the faith healed. It's just being able to take Jesus at his word. Because the next verse says, "And they came to the house." He'd already been told his daughter died. What he'd been praying for at this point had already kind of passed, because he's praying for healing and she's already gone. but he still goes to the house anyway, solely on the word of Jesus. Just being able to take Jesus at his word beyond what he saw not only allows him to be able to see his daughter continue to live her life, but he got to see Jesus in a whole new level. He didn't just get to see Jesus the healer, he got to see Jesus the resurrector, which Jesus the resurrector was about to change all of humanity forever, and he got a preview. How amazing is that? And it's purely because he took Jesus at his word. I'm going to encourage you guys today, just take him at his word. When you don't see it, when it doesn't feel like it, when you just want to keep going, you just don't want to keep going. When somebody comes up to you and says, don't even worry about it, it's over at this point, do what Jairus did and keep going. Do not be afraid, only believe. All will be made well. Love you.